Deep in the wilderness of the Siberian taiga, a mysterious cryptid has been repeatedly sighted, known as the Chuchunya, also known as the Siberian snowman. It is a strange, hominid-like cryptid about 6 to 7 feet tall, human-like and broad-shouldered with a large, protruding brow and having long, matted hair. It has been described as having unusually colored body hair or fur. Some claim that it wears animal skins. But what is this lesser-known cryptid? Siberia's Sasquatch, a surviving hominid? In this video, I will explore the multiple accounts of the Chuchunya. Like and subscribe if you like my content. Stay tuned and enjoy. On July 18th, 1928, in the midst of political and economic change and chaos in the Soviet world, the Soviet government dispatched a research mission into the wild and desolate Siberian taiga in northern Siberia. This was an official, documented expedition known as the 1928 Soviet Expedition. Their aim was to investigate and compile accounts of the legendary Chuchunya, often described by indigenous Yakut and Tungus as an elusive, tall, lean wildman creature who allegedly stole food at night and was said to roam the deep and remote wilderness near the Indigirka and Yana rivers and the harsh tundras. They found that the same accounts, same descriptions, were coming from different indigenous tribes in the area who had never spoken to each other before. A wild man clad in deerskin, tall and lean. Many accounts came from European Russians who chose to live in isolation. Reports of these creatures, as was soon found out, went back hundreds of years in the area, the knowledge of the natives going back thousands. It was extremely similar to how many Native American tribes have their own detailed accounts of Bigfoot. In other regions, they are known as Mulin, the Tungus word for bandit. This name comes from the multiple accounts where these elusive wild men allegedly went on night raids in barns and other places. According to other accounts, they occasionally eat human flesh. This is extremely similar to stories of the Almasty in Siberia. They already share extremely similar traits with them. They don't seem like such different creatures to each other. In 1933, news came about that the Chuchunya were being avidly hunted in the Siberian taiga. Professor P. Dravert was appalled and found it heinous of the government, and created a petition for the Soviet government to put an end to these hunts. He claimed that the Chuchunya were citizens of the Soviet Union just like everyone else. The Soviet government didn't care, and nothing was done about the matter. In the 1970s, however, things began to change. It was in the midst of the Cold War that geologist Vladimir Pushkarev conducted his own research into the Chuchunya. He had heard stories of the creatures, but he believed that due to the scale they had been hunted at, there were potentially very few left roaming the Siberian taiga since the dawn of the 20th century and the hunts. In 1985, British anthropologist Myra Shackley allegedly had a sighting of her own of the Chuchunya, known as Mekani. Most investigations have concluded that the Chuchunya are not creatures completely separate from humans, but that they may actually be one of the last living links connecting humanity to its hominid ancestors. They are deemed either extinct or dangerously close to extinction. The 20th century decimated the majority of their population. Some of the most barren, remote tundras of the world are in the Siberian taiga. It is still a possibility that the Chuchunya is still out there, roaming the wilderness. Recent communication with locals back up that idea. There are multiple eyewitness accounts of the Chuchunya from that area. Many became famous and were even published in the newspapers, such as a story published in May 2004 by Yakutia, one of the most leading newspapers in the Republic of Sakha. The Screaming of Sindushnij. The story comes from a group of elderly people. They described a dangerous steep slope where lies the ruins of an airplane. They claimed that, there, in 1957, a group of hunters killed a Chuchunya, and that its body was brought down the Lena River to the capital of Yakutsk, where it was never seen again. Allegedly, the Chuchunya lived in the mountains of Verkhojansk. It wore deerskin, and when it met people, it would scream loudly. Another story from locals, this one from Modern Day Times, was also published in the newspapers, this time in the Russian newspaper Evening Yakutsk. It was published in December 2002. The story goes that, in the Baralas district, in a wolf trap, in March 2002, an unknown animal, covered in fur and with a long tail and being described as being like a primate and about 3 times the size of a dog, was found dead. The Chuchunya leaves us with unanswered questions, speculation, and theories. It's something so cited and believed in, even so that it was mentioned in the newspapers. It is not unlike the Sasquatch, with its oddly similar description and elusive nature and its attraction to remote places, such as the harsh tundras of the Siberian taiga and America's vast, deep forests. It leaves us with a sense of wonder. Are these hominid cryptids the last surviving traces of our pre-human ancestors, potentially hunted to extinction? Are they still out there? Many locals and native tribes believe they are, still roaming the tundras and living in the remote wilderness. What do you believe? Let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe if you enjoy my content, and stay tuned for more.